There's a new gold spot released this year, the 13-year Generations Edition. But is it as good as the 9-year gold spot? Welcome to 4 Leaf Whiskey. So one of the bottles I picked up while I was in Ireland is the new Gold Spot 13-year release. Now this bottle is in the US, it hasn't hit my state yet, and I got a chance to try this when I was in Ireland. I enjoyed it, so I picked up a bottle so I could do a comparison between this 13-year Generations Edition and the 9-year 135th Anniversary Edition. Now, they're not exactly the same. This one is a little older, obviously, at 13-year age statement. This one is bourbon cask, sherry cask, matured, and Riciotto Valpolicella. That's as close as I'm going to get to that wine, Italian wine. So this has got an Italian red wine finish. This one also has been proofed down to 46% ABV. So let's give this one a go. This one, it's in a few states in the US. I've been seeing it, the retail price around $200, $250, which unfortunately Irish distillers, especially the spots, the prices do seem to be a little on the high side. So I don't know how low you're going to be able to find it because it's a gold spot. It's a limited release. So there's a lot of red berries on the nose on this one. There's red berries, there's vanilla, really fresh red apple, and almost like kind of apple blossom. Like it's a slightly floral, but I'm getting a lot of like fresh red apple on the nose on this one. A little bit of spices coming off kind of like clove on the nose. But there's a sweetness to this one that I don't remember getting on the gold spot, the 9-year. This is a lot more fruit forward. I remember that one kind of leaning more into spice and vanilla, but this one I'm hit with the fruit right off the bat on the nose. Sláinte. That front palate, it's berries and cream. It's raspberry, strawberry, maybe even a little blackberry. Very vanilla cream. There's a little bit of oak. I am getting some spice on the finish on this one. It has spicy ginger, but it's subdued. It's not as spicy as the previous gold spot. The spice kind of hits you mid-palate and then falls off. And then the vanilla cream is what I'm kind of finishing with. That vanilla is going kind of long. Still getting a little bit of the red berry. Lot more fruit on this one. 46% ABV. It drinks its proof. It's dialed back from the ABV on the previous edition, but I wouldn't call this thin. A little bit tannic right at the finish. It does that wine cask does show up on the finish. It's just a little bit tannic, a little bit drying, a little bit astringent, just slightly on the finish. So let's compare this to the 9-year gold spot and see how they're different. Okay, so the first thing I immediately notice is the color. The color on this original gold spot is a little bit darker, just a little bit. Now, the gold spot 9-year came out as a celebration, 135 years for Michelin Sun. This is ex-bourbon cask, ex-sherry cask, ex-port pipes, and ex-Bordeaux wine cask maturation and finishing on this one. The gold spot 13-year is ex-bourbon cask, ex-sherry cask, and then the ex-Italian wine that you're not going to get me to try to pronounce again, maturation. The ABV is also different. The 9-year is 51.4% ABV. The 13-year has been proofed down to 46% ABV. Kind of wish they'd have kept it a little higher, at least above 50%, but let's see how these are different. So the 9-year, I'm actually, the only fruit I'm really getting on the nose is pear. A little bit of pear. A lot of vanilla. Its spice is coming through a lot more in the 9-year. And it comes across on the nose as more like a cinnamon. Now the 13, I'm getting apple blossom. It's almost just a little hint of floral. A lot of vanilla. And just a little bit of kind of like a candied ginger on the nose. It's much sweeter on the nose than the 9-year is. Let's try the 9. I'm getting a little fruit on the palate. I'm getting a little bit of fruit on the palate of the 9, but it's more baked apples. Like, you know, bake apples on your stovetop in like a cast iron skillet with some brown sugars. I'm getting like a cinnamon toast crunch cereal. Vanilla cream, a little bit of a cereal note, and then the finish is all spicy cinnamon. And the cinnamon hits end palate, and then you're kind of left with that spice. It does drink a little higher ABV. All right, let's go back to the 13. Yeah, if you put these side by side, if you did not know they were both Gold Spot, you would not think it's the same whiskey. A lot more red berries and cream right off the nose. The vanilla, I think, is a little bit stronger in the 13 year as opposed to the 9-year. But it also just could be because that vanilla cream is what you're left with on the finish. That's the note that I'm getting that's continuing on. Really, a good length of finish. The 13 really does match up with the 9 as far as length of finish. I mean, it's hanging in there. It's just you're left with a little bit bigger punch on the 9 with all that spice on the end palate, whereas the 13 is kind of leaving you more with that the vanilla cream on the end palate. All right, Gold Spot 13-year Generations Edition. So how does it stand up against the 9-year? Now, most of my friends, I think most people out there, most reviewers, are going to prefer the 9-year. They like, you know, the single pot still that you get on that. There's some older whiskey in that. It's a little bit higher ABV. I'm actually one of the few, I actually gravitate more towards the 13. I prefer the 13 over the 9. And it really comes down just to a matter of taste. The berries and cream notes that you get in the Gold Spot 13, the sweeter whiskey, it's a little more subdued on the spice. That's just stuff I gravitate to in general. I really do enjoy, you know, those berry notes on a whiskey, the cream notes on a whiskey. And I enjoy red wine finish Irish whiskey. This one kind of is a little reminiscent and reminds me just a little of Green Spot Quail's Gate. And maybe it's a hint of Green Spot Chateau Léoville Barton. Although Léoville Barton, love it. I would pick it over both Gold Spots. But most people are going to probably prefer that 9-year. If nothing more, it's just, it's a little higher ABV. I do wish they hadn't taken it down to 46. I'm glad they didn't go any further with it. It's a really good whiskey. If you prefer those same notes, I think you're going to enjoy this one. It hasn't gone widespread across the U.S. yet. There's a handful of states you can find this one in. Like I said, the prices I'm seeing are $250 higher, which unfortunately that's just where we're at with spot whiskey. That's a 13-year age statement, especially it's a limited release. So I don't know that I would pay that much for this. I don't think I would pay $200 for this one. I did not pay anywhere near that when I picked a bottle up in Ireland. So if you can get, you know, a good deal on it, and it does sound like something you would enjoy, I don't think you'd be too disappointed in this one. Probably the only other thing about this one, like I said, it does finish a little bit tannic, a little bit astringent, just a little. But again, it's a red wine finish, so that just happens quite a bit with these. But If you see this one, if you can get a really good deal on it, I don't think you'll be disappointed to add this one to your lineup. But still, it's an easy drinker, and it is enjoyable whiskey. Please like, subscribe, comment below, let me know if you have tried either of the Gold Spots. Sláinte.